And good morning, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my morning musings. Man, I'm out of coffee here. I've already gone through a pot. It's getting serious. But nonetheless, thank you so much for joining me. We're currently involved in a study on the already but the not yet. This study's been a little bit involved, and we've got a little way to go, but I want to thank you for all of the kind emails that I have received, the kind remarks that I have received, because this is an important study. In the New Testament, we find statements that certain eschatological elements, salvation, redemption, kingdom, resurrection, etc., were already present realities, but then the New Testament writers would turn around, as I've said, and say those things were coming. Now, I've already pointed out, they almost invariably said that what was coming, the completion of what had begun, was coming very soon. There are no texts that put the not yet in some far off, unknown, distant future, perhaps 2 or 3 or 4 millennia removed from the first century. Those texts just are not there. And by the way, it raises an interesting question, does it not? All of those folks who say, oh, the Bible says what it means what it says, all of a sudden when God said those events were at hand, near, shortly, quickly, coming in a very, very little while, all of a sudden those very folks turn around and say, oh, well, yeah, but that didn't mean what it said, and it didn't say what it meant. Okay, I want to discuss this morning ever so briefly the idea of the adoption. Now, the adoption, according to Romans 8:23, is the resurrection. Romans 8:23. Not only that, but we also who have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves, groan within ourselves, eagerly waiting for the adoption, the redemption of our body. So the adoption is the redemption of the body. But here's something that's fascinating and significant. The adoption had already begun. Now you notice in the context that the adoption is synchronous with the manifestation of the sons of God, the revealing of the sons of God. Now let's go back up just a little bit earlier in the text. Verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. Wait a minute, Romans 8:18 and following is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. You are sons, but you're waiting for the revelation of the sons. See? Okay, now watch this. For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. Now you find the exact same elements right here as in verse 18 and following. Notice, you did not receive the spirit of bondage, or what bondage? Same identical bondage that is in Romans 8:18 and following, which the creation was subjected to bondage and futility. Okay, but notice, you did not receive the spirit of bondage again. Why does he say the word again? Well, we'll try to get that later on. To fear, but you received the spirit of adoption. The Spirit Himself bears witness with our spirit. We are the children of God, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ, if indeed we suffer with Him, that we may be also glorified. Well, there's a concept of honor and shame here that just simply is dynamic. But notice, they have already begun to be adopted. As N.T. Wright says in his brand new 2-volume set, Paul and the Faithfulness of God, Paul walked in 3 worlds. He walked first and primarily in the Jewish world. He was first and foremost a Jew. Secondly, he walked in the Roman world. Thirdly, he walked in the Grecian world. Well, here in Romans 8, he is drawing from the Roman practice of adoption. By the way, the Jews hardly ever, if ever, practiced adoption. Romans and Greeks did. But the Roman practice of adoption was a two-step process. First of all, there was the declaration of intent. This is when the person who was going to do the adopting went to some folks and said, I would like to adopt your son. Girls were very seldom, if ever, adopted. Another point. But the point of fact is, a patron would go to the parents and they would say, I want to adopt your son. I will take your son. I will give him my name. I will raise him in my house. And here's what I will do. If the parents agree to that, they would all meet at a given point of time in a public square in Rome, and a public proclamation of intent to adoption. Now, the patron would probably give the parents a price of some kind, a dowry if you please, but after that declaration of intent to adopt, you had a period of transition in which objections could be lodged to the adoption. But after that period of waiting, the patron, the parents, and the child all gathered back at the same point, and a declaration was made, the adoption is complete. This child of such and such parents is now the child of this patron. All objections have been settled. The declaration is made. And oh, by the way, you know what? I can relate to that. My wife and I adopted our son. We got the child. We got the boy. We appeared before a judge, and the judge asked us of our intent, full intent, to adopt this boy, to make him ours, give him our name, raise him in our home, take care of him, provide him, etc., etc. We declared that intent, and the judge said, okay, in 6 months, this is what he said, in 6 months you'll come back for the final judgment. That's what he said. After 6 months, we went back, we appeared before the judge, and the judge asked the human department folks, are there any objections? No objection, Your Honor. Everything looks good. They're taking care of the boy. He's happy. He's healthy. He's being provided for. The judge said the final judgment of this court is, click, adoption completed. See, that's what's going on in Romans 8. So the adoption, remember, is resurrection. It's the redemption of the body. The adoption, i.e., the redemption of our body. They had already received that spirit of adoption. Resurrection had begun. Hey, there is so much more here. And I'm going to spend some more time showing you once again that while the writer spoke of an already, you have received the spirit of adoption unto sonship. There's a not yet. We're waiting for the adoption, the redemption of the body. Paul places that consummation in an absolutely imminent context. That will be on the flip side. We'll see you then.